and welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show, the show where we talk about all the crazy stupid stuff that people do and how you cannot do that with your marketing efforts, time, budget, all that good stuff. We're getting rid of crazy stupid marketing here today. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, what is crazy stupid marketing? Well, quick definition for you folks. Crazy, we are going to use the classic definition of insane, which is doing the same thing over and over without we're expecting different results. And stupid, we're going to use the Tracy definition, which is doing something just because someone else told you that you should. And you have no other reason besides someone else told you you should. Because on this show, we believe that you should have your reason to do a thing. And this is also why the show exists, is to give you opportunities to get into the conversation and trying on ideas about what might work for you, throw away stuff that doesn't work for you, and maybe, just maybe, build some confidence in your own marketing decisions. So with that, if you are new to the show, welcome. We're super happy to have you here. If you're not new to the show, welcome. We're super happy to have you back. And while this might look like a conversation between just two talking heads, if you're watching us on the video, it's not. It's a conversation for all of us. And so if you happen to be joining us live, wherever you are, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, there's a nifty difty post a comment part of the conversation. And we would love to hear your questions, queries, insights, perspectives, all of the good stuff, anything you're thinking that you are willing to share as part of the conversation today, because it makes the conversation more robust for everybody. And so with all of that mumbo jumbo out of the way, what are we in fact talking about? Would you like to know? We would all like to know. Eric would like to know. He's not sure. He just said, yeah, I'll be a guest on this show. We're talking about making digital conversations matter. And I'm really excited about this because, first of all, I think this concept of digital conversations is, whether or not you've used that phraseology before, there's a feeling that you have about having conversations digitally versus analog and or in person. And there's still a whole whack of people coming out of, we're a while out of the COVID pandemic now, folks. And there's still a lot of people that are like, you can't build a relationship unless you're in person. Is that true? We're going to explore that a little bit today, because there are, in fact, opportunities to make your digital conversations better, but there's some important pieces of the puzzle that go into making that happen. Hey, Coach Pete, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for checking out the show. Always good to see ya. Let's learn a little bit more. Eric is a regular panelist on the show, so you've probably seen him before. But Eric, for the people who don't know you, would you like to give them a little brief overview of who Eric Doyle is and why we're here talking about making digital conversations matter?
Thank you very much. What a wonderful introduction. I think you should just do the show on your own. Just come on and do it.
That's so boring for me.
Chickens and making bread, making your own bread and all that. Thank you, Tracy. An excellent introduction. My name's Eric. I run a company called Crux. We help create digital influencers in the B2B space, but also then help them in a much wider sense. You're talking about creating digital conversations. So we talk about digital B2B influence. How do you create influence that leads to conversations? And then when you get into those conversations, how do you do really well in the room? How do you convert that relationship that's formed into something beautifully commercial, some beautiful, wonderful? So a combination of teaching people how to really benefit from creating that digital community that creates a space for conversations. And then what do you do with it once you've started having the conversations? How do you communicate in a way that really impacts people, really makes what you're saying stick, mean something to people, and make them want to do something about it? And that doing something is reach out to you, get in touch with you, send you an email, send you a DM, make a phone call and say, what you did really made me think. Really, and I think I should talk to you because I think we could work well together. That's it.
All right. So I'm going to start with the good old-fashioned LinkedIn pitch slap and ask you questions about what's up with that digital conversation and why Why not? Why? Nope. Does it work or does it not? Why doesn't it or doesn't it?
So there was a time, if you'd met me 5 or 6 years ago, Tracy, and said, does the old pitch slap work? I would have said, no, it's offensive. It's horrible. I knew loads of people that were very aggressive with people that pitch slapped them, just connected and then came straight in with a pitch. I've changed. I've completely changed, right? When you go to an event, an in-person event, there are people who just want to give out a brochure. That's fine. That's all they know how to do. That's all they want to know. Should we be rude to them? No, we shouldn't. Should we be rude to them? Not at all. We should still be nice people. We should still be courteous people. If someone comes onto your stand and in a networking perspective says, hey, how you doing? The weather outside's shocking, isn't it? Great show. Fantastic. Where are you from? And we start to build that little bit rapport. I'll treat that person exactly the same the way as the person that comes up and doesn't know any better, that just walks up and just goes, we do this, we sell pumps. Do you want to buy one? No. Okay, buy it. And just keeps doing that stand to stand to stand. There's going to be that different mix of people. So nowadays, when I get pitch slapped, when I get the, hi, Eric, I saw your profile, I'd love to connect, and I connect. And then I get, we want to sell you 10x lead gen. We want to maximize your business and send it through the roof. I just take a little breath and I think about the old perception against perspective kind of rule, the stoic thing. And I think, this person's trying to sell something, right? So I'm going to be courteous. What goes around comes around. So now I have become extremely sociable and extremely welcome. I don't try and retrain them. I don't try and lecture them. I just go, thanks very much, John. I'm not your guy. But thanks very much for reaching out to me. I wish you all the best for your business. And usually get a lovely response back when they drop the, I've got to sell something kind of stuff. So I've had a bit of an epiphany that's going to happen because people are different. If you want to elevate your game, clearly there are ways to communicate with people. There are ways to build relationships with people, but not everybody knows how to do that. Funny story, I once got one of those way back in the day when I was still quite aggressive about this. And how dare you do that? That's not what we do here. We are influencers and we are trying to help people. And this is about building relationships. And a guy sent me this, hi, Eric, do you want to connect? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then he sent me the full price breakdown of the whole thing. And I came back with my 5 years ago response. This is not how we do things here. This is not how we do things here. We build relationships. And he came back and genuinely said, Tracy, I've still got it in a little picture. I use it in training. Mate, if you want a friend, buy a dog. I'm here to sell something. I send out 1,000 of these a day and I'll maybe get 50 or 60 people that buy from me. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not here to be your friend. Thanks very much. Goodbye. If you want a friend, buy a dog. But the world's a better
place. It's not terrible advice.
If you want a friend, buy a dog. But the world is a better place. We know this as this digital B2B world evolves. When we're just swimming in a mire of promotional content, we're at a thing, and AI produced just schmaltz. The people that can actually create real conversations through a real organic approach, from my experience and my assessment, are winning.
Okay, so let's. I feel like there's two different directions I can go. I'm trying to figure out which is like farther down the conversation hole. So let's before we go into, because I'd like to have a conversation around what is winning.
Yeah.
But I want to put that in the parking lot for a minute because the word influencer came up a couple of times. And I think there's everybody maybe has their own definition of what an influencer is. And a lot of times we talk about things like influencer marketing and people just getting thousands of followers on Instagram and then trying to sell watches or new health drinks or what have you. So when you are using the phrase influencers, what does that mean to you? So we're all on the same page.
So yeah, clearly, we're not in the Love Island B2B world of selling sneakers and lipstick. If we were, that would be quite cool. But what we are talking about, we often ask the question when we meet new people, who are the leading technical and commercial digital influencers in your sector? Often there's just a silent hum across the room. But the fact is there is an opportunity, and the kind of influence that we're talking about is influencing technical and commercial people that might be in the market to create economic opportunity with you to lean forward and lean into you. And you can't do that with, we've done a thing, we're at a thing, look at our amazing thing, We're glad to be at day one of the show. It's difficult to do that with that promotional loop that we talk about of content, which is just swamping the world. If you want to get to that point where you're influencing activity, where you're influencing action, you're influencing the kind of person who might buy from you, work for you, partner with you, supply to you, actually make them want to do something. And that doing something is probably going to start with getting in touch with you and saying, wow, I've been following your content for a while. What you're talking about really resonates with me. Brackets, you have influenced me to lean forward and come to you. I think we should meet. I think we should talk. I think you should come and speak to us. So that is the level of influence that we're talking about. I don't shy away from it. A lot of people go, ooh, and wince when I talk about influencers. It's a fact. It's here. Social media is growing. Influencers will not go away. But what I'm talking about, what we're talking about, is creating that wonderful technical and commercial influence that allows people to see you as someone who knows their stuff, seems like quite a caring individual, and looks like someone that I might get on with. And I'm just going to reach out to them and just drop my little line and see if we can kick off something. LinkedIn's mission for 2024, 2025 is to connect the world's professionals to make them more efficient, right? Their vision is to allow those professionals to connect and create economic opportunity. I love that. You know, subtext, we're here to make money for Microsoft, but through subscriptions and advertising. But their goals, their objectives, their mission, their value is to connect the world's professionals, to allow them to be more efficient and to allow them to create economic opportunity together. So it's difficult to do that if you're just in the promotional loop, which we can maybe come back to later. When we get into that place where we're creating influence, we've got people sitting back going, oh, that just speaks to my heart and speaks to my mind. It speaks to my budget. It speaks to my problems. It speaks to the failings we have in our organization. It speaks to our ambition. That's when you become a technical and commercial influencer.
And I think, I mean, even when you explain it, it feels very different than a promotional loop. Although I do feel like there are still a lot of people using social media from that promotional loop perspective. And maybe even the concept of conversation isn't living there. And so this is something that's very curious for me from a marketing perspective, because I know from a sales perspective, I feel like it's more clearly about conversations when it's from a sales perspective, right? Have conversations and we're talking about conversations, not just transactions. So, but in marketing, a lot of times someone will say like, well, as soon as someone downloads the white paper from my website, that's an MQL. And I don't have to worry about conversations. Sales has to worry about conversations. So I'm going to just send them the lead and send 60 of those a month and check my box for my KPI. So let's talk about what marketing can do. And then maybe we can like get into different arenas of marketing where we'll talk about content and things like that are not in the promotional loop that can actually lead to some kind of meaningful conversation.
Well, that's a great one. And I love the way you do this show, because you just throw questions at people. And thankfully, I have a little armory of response for you. So I was with a company maybe towards the end of Q4 last year. Very concerned because none of their marketing was working. It wasn't doing anything. They were spending lots and lots and lots of pounds on marketing per year. And the CEO decided one day to say, what does this do for us? And there was silence, and there was, well, it's good for visibility, and we've got impressions, and we've got all this, and we've got so many new visitors to our website, and it's all cool. And he's like, I want a little more. I want to dig a little more. So we did a little exercise. When I went in to speak to that company, I spent some time with the marketing team. We did a bit of a deep dive audit. Maybe sounds a bit too severe, but it was an audit. We gave it like proper quality audit on marketing. Why do we do it? What do we do it for? What does it do? Why do we continue to do the things that we know are just... So the marketing team were all lovely, a lovely, lovely team. But they told me that I said, so what is your job here? Our job is to promote the company. Promote the company. Okay. And what does that mean? Well, we do the things, we do the events, we do all of the social media, we do all of that. I asked them what their starting point for doing that marketing was. They do all the marketing stuff. What's the starting point? And they told me their objective was just to get content out to everyone. So I challenged that a little bit and I said, so there's a bit of a focus on the marketing that we're doing right now not being effective and not generating the kind of results that it should. What if we became more focused on our clients' needs? What if we actually spoke the same language as our clients? Hi, Andrew Slesser. Good to see you. What if we spoke the same language as our clients? What if we appealed to, if we knew so much about our clients, their pain points, their issues, their problems, their budget constraints, their operational stuff, if we knew so much about that and we spoke that language in relation to the kind of solutions that we provide in the world without being too front on by our stuff? Their response was shocking, but not uncommon. We don't know enough about the business to do that. So we just take our lead from operations and the leadership team. They tell us what to put out, promote that thing that we did. So, the marketing is starting from a very weak position with very little education. So I spoke to them and we looked at, so a couple of the marketing team had been with the company for 3 years plus, still couldn't really tell me what the company did in terms of value. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could maybe tell me what the products were and the services were. Did they know where they fitted in to the sector diagram? No. Did they know if the clients even wanted to see that kind of thing? No. So they're marketing from a very weak position and just marketing to everyone. Right. What we decided to do was pull that back. We decided to do something really quite revolutionary, right? Because I'm of the opinion that the person who should know the clients most is the marketing person. Mm. Or what are you doing? You're just making a brochure, right? Right. That tells you to make. And that's not marketing. That's just making promotional items. Mm-hmm. So we've got these thousands of little promotional items in a year. Marketing think they're doing a great job. No one else does. But actually, it's the leadership team's problem because they brought these people in and just never allowed them to get to understand. So what we said was for the next 3 months, every time there's an operational meeting or a sales meeting or a pitch or whatever, the marketing team are going with you. What? Because I want these people, and you've asked me to come in, this is my proposal. I want these people to know as much about your clients and your sectors as you do. And they're very clever. They've all got degrees. None of you in sales have got degrees, by the way. They've got degrees. They're all very clever. If you give them that, they'll soak it up like a sponge. 3 months later, after that big wave of client exposure, industry exposure, the marketing team sat down and said, well, we've been getting this wrong. We don't need to be doing that. And then the most beautiful thing happened, Tracy, at a leadership team meeting. Someone said, yeah, we should, one of the operations guys said, we should definitely be doing this. And the marketing leader turned around and said, we should not do that because our clients don't care about that. And I was like, whoa, it was like a cold shiver down my back. Our clients aren't interested in that. It's not our clients' problems. Suddenly the marketing is now focused on the clients because they're marketing from an educated position to hearts and minds of people that can make a decision about that. They're speaking the right language and they're now much more informed. So that promotional loop, no one ever got fired for just saying, hey, we were at a show the other day and it was really great, or we did a fun run the other day. Go and put out some stuff about it on LinkedIn. Yeah, no problem. I'll do that. I'll put it on the company page. It's great. It's much harder and I think much more beneficial for marketing. I want to walk into an organization, walk into marketing and go, tell me about your clients. Tell me what their biggest issues are. Tell me what the difficulty they have in buying from you. Tell me what their pain points are. Tell me what their wins and successes and all of that. Oftentimes when you do that with B2B marketing teams, they don't know. Mm-hmm. So they're coming from that really disadvantaged, weak position, and all they can do is just promote stuff and make a brochure and make a stand. And for me, that's a waste of talent. It's a waste of a degree. These people where, you sit them down, you speak to them, when you lift away that 3 years worth of depression that they've got of just making stands for shows and making business cards and brochures, and actually ask them what they trained in, they start talking about all the really clever stuff, the really, really clever stuff, the campaigns they'd love to run, but they simply haven't got the education. So that's my mission is before I hang up my football boots and say, that's me, I'm done. I want to get more marketing people out with clients. Actually, there's a really good film that's worth watching. Have you ever seen the film with Danny DeVito called Tin Men?
No.
It's absolute gold. And I try and lift away from the fact that they're selling aluminium siding or aluminum siding. It's the trials and tribulations of a bunch of really sort of like gum heel salespeople in the aluminium siding world in the 60s in America, 50s, 60s. And it's cutthroat, right? But there's a really excellent point in there that just struck me one day. They call the ladies that are on the phones, they sit in these phone booths. There's like 10 of them, right? They just sit all day. They're called marketing. And they phone round customers. And they have you hear them sitting going, "Hello, Mrs. Jones, how are you? Do you need your windows done? We've been out in your area and we see that, you know, the roofs need done and we don't want your roofs to come off in yeah, I know exactly. Yeah." And they have these conversations and they write a pink slip, which is a lead, and they put it on a tab and the salesman comes in and he takes that and he goes away and converts that into a purchase order. But the marketing team are doing the pitching. They're doing the prep work. They're doing all of that and they're setting that up so that there's loads of leads coming in. They're either, I think it's green for go or red for rubbish, and they put them on the thing and they all race for these green slips. But I love the fact that it's the marketing people that are making the first contact with the customer. Contact. Now, it's a funny film. It's a kind of black comedy. It's not a very upbeat film. It's quite depressing. But that whole concept, if you explode that up, what if? So here's my concept, right? In a big, complex sales environment, what if marketing went out and did pitches and then came back and told so that sales could focus on converting those issues that they have, those transactions that they have, closing them into purchase orders, into revenue, so they could focus on that. 9 times out of 10 we find that sales are doing all of what would be perceived as traditional marketing. They're trying to get the meeting, they're trying to convince, blah, blah, blah. They're doing the pitching, and then they're in trying to close the deals. What if we allowed them to close more deals and marketing were doing more creation of deals? I love that concept. It's bizarre. It's wild. There's not many that would do it. But I want to walk into a company in the B2B space and say, who is the most informed about our clients? And for the leadership team to say, you need to go to marketing. They know some stuff. And unfortunately, it's not that case.
Oh, interesting. I've never actually thought about this from this perspective, but if you think about the prevalence of data-driven marketing right now, so more and more, there's more systems, more data to be collected from a marketing perspective, some of it useful, some of it not, albeit, but I think there is this innate curiosity that marketers have about people. That it's one of the things that draws, it's one of the things that drove me into marketing, was that like, oh, I get to understand what people's problems are and like see how they can fix them. These are actually the types of things that get marketers excited. And it's almost like we've said, well, don't worry, we have a system for that. Well, there's a system that will just give you all the answers to your question. You don't have to talk to any of the customers anymore. But we also forget then, like, part of the fun in the curiosity isn't in compiling data. It's in talking to people and being like, I talked to this person and they need this aluminum roof. Like, they didn't even know it. It was just like, they didn't even know it existed. And so, like, that there's fun in that. And it's interesting because I do think when you, and I don't know, I don't speak for all marketers, obviously, but there has been in the last like 20 years, such a big shift between sales does the talking to people stuff and marketing does the talking to
a brick wall.
Like the open space.
The open space.
It's not two people. It's just talking. We do the talking.
Talking to everyone.
Our innate desire, and one of the reasons that drives us behind being marketers, that we are innately curious about our customers. Then why don't you put your marketers out there talking to customers?
The next time, go to operations, go to sales, go to the leadership team and say, when are the client meetings this week? Because one of our team is going to be there and we're going to do a rota. They're going to sit there and they're going to take notes. They won't say much for the first couple of months. They're just going to sit and suck up information like a sponge. And then they're going to come back in, and every time one of them came back in, they came back in and went, wow, wow. You know, we are way off in the wrong direction. We need to pull back. Why? Tell me what you've got. Well, I've got all these notes here. This is what they're interested in. This is what they're not. They hate this. They love that. This annoys them. This really excites them. These are the issues that they have. We have got solutions that tune into them. Let's find out and let's test that when you go out tomorrow to that other client. Let's see if ask those same, ask the guys to ask those same questions until you get strong enough to be able to go, can I interject for a second? Do you have these issues? Because then we're drilling down. We're becoming more laser focused. We're becoming more crystallized to the point where we're marketing from a position of strength, because we know that's what our sectors and our markets need, rather than just stuff, fire every cannon, do everything, be everywhere.
Okay, so let's pull this back, because if there's such a big benefit to marketers being out talking to people, which I'm totally aligned with you on, by the way. And on the flip side, we have a whole bunch of AI agents now that can just observe, right? So why would I send my marketer out to a meeting, which costs me money if I'm sending a marketing director or something like that? Versus I could just have this AI bot listen to the call, and it can disseminate all the same information as a trained marketer.
Yeah, it's a great point. The AI bot that's listening into the conversation doesn't pick up on nuance, body language, personal behavior, facial expressions, all of that, which communication is a huge part of. It's a huge part of communication, right? Getting in front of the person personally, I think, is always going to win. If you want lots of data and lots of assessments that a digital bot makes about sounds that it's hearing, it's probably going to provide some value. If you're doing lots of things like that at scale, particularly in large businesses, you're going to pick up lots and lots of stuff. I would offer that being in the room with people will win right now, due to that. Okay, the bot heard this might mean that, and it'll give you some options, because I've done the same myself. I've had it listening and compared, and it's pretty good, but it's off the mark on a lot. And it'll give you some options. This might mean this. This might mean this. You might want to try that. I think a lot of that could be cut out if we're sitting face to face over a cup of coffee, sitting having a chat, and we're able to have the kind of interaction that humans being have, where we pick up on more than words.
Right.
More than words.
Yeah. And I mean, I've always thought that this is the role for marketing, because also I have a unique experience in I ran the client success team.
Yep.
And then moved into marketing after that. My training was in marketing, but I did the client success management first. And so I had all these relationships with the clients, and I would just say let's just ask them, right? Let's ask them what they think of this. And it was so interesting, because I remember this one scenario, and we were doing automated calling. Some might call it robocalling. Depends on how well you do it and for what use case you do it. But There was this we were calling it the compliance cliff. In October 2013, there was all this new legislation that was coming in that said you can't call somebody unless you have express written consent to call them. So that it was like a double opt-in type of thing. So I have to say yes, and then I have to confirm that I said yes. And so we were like, all these clients are going to lose a bunch of people off of their list that they can call. So let's do a campaign to collect the opt-in. Seemed like a good idea at the time. So we did one, and it was an epic failure. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, we were going to sell this to all of our clients, but now no. And so I remember, because one of the clients came at us and he was like, what are we going to do about this compliancy cliff? Should we do a call campaign? And I was like, no, we should not do that. We've actually tried it. It is not going to be good for you. Here are some other ideas about what we can do. But it was really interesting, because that conversation, even though it was me, and again, easier for marketing to say no to business than sales to say no to business, right? The trust that it built in our company was like insane. And that business still does business with the other business today, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think there is less risk in talking to somebody who's a marketer and not a salesperson, right? If you're going to talk to a salesperson, just like we talked about right at the beginning of this episode about pitch slaps, right? Probably you're going to get a sales pitch at some point, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if like I'm a marketer for a business trying to make this kind of change in the world or solve this problem in the world, and I'm out there doing research, okay, it seems less risky. And so again, one, if I'm innately curious about doing that. Two, it's easier to get in front of the clients because they feel safer talking to someone who's not a salesperson. Then like it seems like it could possibly shorten the sales cycle as well, which I'm thinking everyone wants to do.
It definitely can. It definitely can. We're trialing it right now and it is absolutely working. So we've now got, which is completely new to some sectors, we've now got marketing professionals calling up the client operational team to ask for 30 minutes of their time, if that's okay. What's it for? Just want to talk to you, have some questions for you. We'll send the questions. No, I'd rather do it in person. Some are rejecting it, but a lot are taking it. And that marketing person is going in there with a list of 10 questions in a conversational style. I have some questions I'd like to ask you. What do you think about this? It doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. It works for me. Why does it work for you? I like this, this, and this. Why do you not like it? I like, yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, whatever. Okay, excellent. That's a sort of 33% uptake on that. That's cool. Next question. And they just keep going around and doing this, building up this bank of knowledge, this massive bank of knowledge. Add that on to your AI bot, which is listening to telephone calls, and it's enriching the whole experience. I think they work hand in hand.
Well, I mean, we've done full episodes on AI and its relationship to people, and this I think is a really good example of where AI and humans can work together very meaningfully from a marketing point of view. Okay, so let's get into, you mentioned winning a couple of times, and when we're really talking about making digital conversations matter, what makes them matter is that they're contributing to something. So that also is likely related to your concept of winning. So let's talk about, and there's probably your definition of winning or how you want to help people create their definitions of winning, but like what goes into kind of defining what we're trying to achieve before we can really assess whether or not our digital conversations are contributing or not.
Yeah. So that involves some deep thinking. I was talking to a client of ours the other day, and I said, when I go into a client's boardroom, I'll look at the leadership team and say, and I do this deliberately, I'll look at the most senior person in the room, CEO, CFO, MD, whatever it is, and I'll say, how do you create demand for your company's products and services? And every time, not 9 times out of 10, every time there is this glitch and then this sharp left or right to look at the marketing person and go, what do we do? What do we do? So arguably one of the most critical aspects of any business is how we sustain ourselves and create demand for our products and services is generally unknown by the management team, misunderstood, unknown. That's the beginning of this cycle of why we're in this weird promotional loop where we're not creating the space for conversations, et cetera, et cetera. They turn to marketing, and marketing usually says we do this, this, and this. And then we say, okay, what does that mean? How do you attribute that to your bottom line? So you do the emailing thing. What does it produce in a month, a quarter, a half, a year? We do the advertising. What does that do? And it gets really, really sticky because they haven't really got the depth, and they're doing all this activity and they're all really busy doing their stuff. So I was with a client explaining this the other day, and he said, but should the leadership team really have all that knowledge? And my point was, I don't want them to have the knowledge. I don't want them to become marketing experts. I don't want them, although it's really weird. One of my other clients, one of the guys on the senior leadership team who's operational, has just gone and done a marketing degree in late life. He's in his 40s. He's just gone and completed a marketing degree, and he's now joined the Chartered Institute of Marketing. He's not in marketing professionally, but he's just beguiled by the whole concept of it, loves it, absolutely loves it, and has gone and done it. I think that's amazing. So you can think more about growing business and doing all of that. Yeah, incredible. So yeah, when we ask these questions, what are we doing all these for? Where's the attribution? The question from my client was, should they really have all the knowledge? I don't want them to have all the knowledge. I want them to be as focused on creating demand and how we complete demand as they are focused on EBITDA, revenue, finances, spreadsheets, and operations and client delivery. At least go in and sit down and put some of that amazing knowledge you have on how things work into how we create demand. Sit and ask the questions. You know, once a month, once a quarter, sit with the team and go, why do we do these things? How does it work? Show me the handoff. How does it all work from initial inquiry or initial lead through to a purchase order that we convert into EBITDA and profit? How does that work? Map that all the way through from whispers to purchase orders, whatever it might be. What is, and map out the process with the team. Show interest, because your intellect as a management team will go, that's crazy, or that's brilliant, we should do more of it. That's brilliant, we should do more of it. So I think the winning starts when the company's leadership team focus goes down to marketing, goes down to sales, goes down to business development, sales engagement, sales enablement, whatever it might be, pulls them all together and go, we're here to help. We're here to help. The winning starts there. Now that win might be whatever they define. It might be, you know, we've got some clients that work with us because they've got a recruitment shortage. They've got an engineer shortage and they need this influence for recruitment. Some want influence for investment. I work with a lot of startups these days that are looking for investment. Just finished with a big cohort of startups. Some are just looking for straight relationships that they can convert into commercial interaction, looking for that beautiful little spark of economic opportunity. Whatever your win is, gear all of your efforts towards that, but do it as a team with insight and support, rather than every quarter the board report going in and everyone who's not in the know and has never been interested suddenly picking holes in what marketing are doing. Well, this isn't working. This is just rubbish. Well, roll your sleeves up, get down there and put some of your process mind, your improvement mind, your operational mind into how this works, and things will get better. Not in a heavy-handed way. Put as much time and effort. When ISO come into your organization to do your ISO 9001, they look at all of your processes, but they start after the job has been accepted. They start at that point where the job's in delivery. They don't look at your marketing and sales processes.
Right.
I wonder if there was an ISO for sales and marketing and business development and your commercial practices. I wonder how much effort would be put onto that. I wonder if that ISO 9001 certificate included your sales, marketing, and business development processes. Because in some organizations that have ISO 9001, their processes are immaculate. But then you lift the lid up on their commercial world and look in, and it's like wacky races, chaos, absolute. Oh, shut that lid, open it again, and you get a custard pie in your face. It's just madness. Map it all out. Map it all out. We've worked with some businesses recently who have started mapping out their commercial processes and found gaps. We could be doing better here. Do little crazy things. Like for me, the big win is when people sit back and go, we could be doing a hell of a lot better. And as a team, as a leadership team, we've decided we need you guys in marketing to know a hell of a lot more about our business, our sectors, all of that. So that might be one of the things that you do. You might want to enhance the way that pitching is working when your sales team are going in and doing all the talking. What are they talking about? One of the things that just amazes me every time we do it is when we go in and we say, right, okay, we're going to be helping you out with pitching, and we sit there in front of the leadership team and we have that sticky moment where we ask the sales team to get up and pitch the company in 10 minutes. And there's this, sorry, what? Well, you do it every day, right? You've just told us you do it every day, sometimes 3 times a day you're out. So let's do it in front of this team here, and we'll record it and we'll break it down. The amount of looks around the room with a guy that's been with the company for 10 years and is supposed to be the main guy, giving out-of-date information, giving old stuff, giving weird stuff, He's 8 minutes into a 10-minute presentation and he's still on the amount of offices that they've got and the amount of staff that they have and their products and services. He's stuck in that product service loop and gets to the end and he's very proud. How do you feel about that? Yep, I managed to get everything that I wanted to tell you in. I managed to get everything that I wanted to tell you in. You didn't find out one thing about us. We're a new client. You've never met us before. We're all sitting here. We sat mute for 10 minutes. So yeah, this whole winning thing is about a spotlight, a focus, energy, improvement, action. And things start to get better.
I think that one interesting, the like comment about like ISO and like how in depth an implementation is for that, but how it doesn't touch sales or marketing. I have this like I'm innately curious, so I always think similarly about like my local grocery retailer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got 4 grocery retailers in town, if you count Walmart as one. Everybody sends out a flyer. Okay, everyone does the same thing. I mean, there's very little attribution that can be done to a flyer unless you're using a coupon, right? Which people don't really use anymore. And so I also used to work in print and happen to know that it costs millions of dollars to do a flyer drop for any kind. And so my brain is always like, I wonder if that is productive. And if people are like, they're really just repeating the same formula without thinking about, well, I can't be the only like retailer that doesn't do flyers. That would be crazy.
Yeah, we have to be visible.
Or what if you were and you spent that money, or dare I say a portion of that money, having barbecues in your parking lot to like bring the community together.
And if you
it matches your brand, obviously, but
you can blow that thing that you just said up there up to multi-billion turnover PLCs. That little concept of we can't be the ones that don't send out a flyer because you just can't be that company. We can't be the only ones that are not at the big show.
Right.
We can't be the only ones that are not doing the thing, they're putting out promotional stuff on social media. It's just the same. We can't be so the question would be, what would happen if you stopped? Would anything change?
I've actually done that experiment with my clients before. Almost all of my clients now, especially like if you're of a larger corporate size, was people like, we can't stop posting on Instagram. Like, we are going to stop posting on Instagram. And we're going to see what happens for 3 weeks. And we're going to see, oh, nothing happened? Oh, shocking.
Shocking. Yeah.
But also I think it's because like what you said about the things not being connected. This is like almost always the problem that I see is that people are doing stuff. This stuff is not connected to a commercialization process. Like, it doesn't actually lead to business. And I love this question of how do you create demand? I think that's something amazing people could take away from the show today. Because if you look at how you create demand as a company, and then you look at your digital conversations, you can pretty easily see if you're trying to, whether or not that's contributing to creating demand or not contributing to creating demand. And those 3 internal people that liked your post that you were booth 383 at XYZ show, like, that's not creating demand.
Yeah. And that just laying that lens over, does our activity create demand? Create demand. You might get to the point where I would love someone to say to me, these 3 channels here create demand. We do this one. We know it doesn't create demand, but we understand that. But we just want to be visible over there. That's cool. That would make me stand up and go, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's have a hug. Fantastic. We know so much, but we're deciding still to do that. It costs us about 20K a year. We're not bothered about it, but we feel it's important to be there and we don't get anything from it. I'd love to hear that. But these three other channels or 4 channels or 5 channels, they're the big hitters.
It's also interesting too, because I feel like maybe there's an order of operations thing happening here in that, like, I've worked in a lot of businesses where trade shows are a very big part of their marketing program. And coming out of a trade show, it's always such a project to try and prove that there was ROI associated with this event.
Yeah.
But that's a like reactionary chasing of ROI instead of an intentional planning of this is how we create demand as a business. And so therefore we're going to go to this show and follow our process for creating demand.
Right.
And then it also leads to like, how many booths do you go to at a trade show that look exactly the same? And
Yes.
they're competing on swag and they're competing like, I mean, I use this example a lot because the last in-person trade show I was at, I got this pair of socks, which is like really cool. I like funky socks. So like really cool pair of socks. I have no idea what the company is, right? Like I can even talk to them, but I don't have a memorable brand experience of it. I have their socks, but their socks don't have the brand name on it. I threw the tag away. So I don't know. Thanks for the socks. Is that creating demand? Because it's probably not creating demand.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, you just booth after booth after booth of everyone looking the same, saying the same thing. We're global leaders we are generous listeners. We are, best in class, world leading, blah, blah, blah. They might have the funky toy on the stand. They might have a cool little thing where you can get a cup of coffee or a craft beer or something. But mostly it's just the same. Blow that up again into social media. Mostly it's just the same. Advertising, it's mostly just the same. The B2C world are leaving the B2B world in marketing for dust. For dust. I open my reels on Instagram and the algorithm's trained to show me the kind of things that I'm really interested in. Handmade leather boots, I love. For some reason, I've got back. For some reason, I've stopped using shower gel. I've started making soap made for men, like old-fashioned soap, but it's made by a real cool, funky company. Honestly, if I see on a reel a guy with a beanie hat on and a beard trying to sell me soap, I order it. We make this naturally in a little shed somewhere, and I'm like, how many bundles can I buy? They just know how to sell to me. They know how to appeal to my heart, my mind, and my ambition.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, in the B2B world, we're stuck in this promotional loop. The promotional loop, because it's really easy to just put out here's the team doing a fun run at the weekend. Here's one of the team at a show. Here's, another successful project delivered. That's what you're supposed to do. No one hired you.
Everybody else does.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This is like drives me nuts because that's exactly what I don't do.
Yeah.
I have no intention of my clients to being just one of many. Right?
I know.
But you to be the one of one with the guy in the beard and the beanie being like, I just made some. You want some?
I do. I want it. What is it? Eucalyptus and mung bean? I'm having it.
Yeah.
But the fact is that whole promotional cycle, I think. So there was a time when I got into this digital world where we took a lot of flack back in the day when we tried to network on here by showing a bit of our personalities. And there was a time, it's kind of gone away now. I think it's died. I don't think I've seen it for a couple of years. Where
This is in Facebook?
The Facebook warriors, right? I don't think they exist anymore. I don't see them anymore. I see some people. I want to tear my hair out because someone goes like this. Someone who gets no engagement on any of their content says, "Hi, LinkedIn. Apologies in advance. This is not a work-related post." And it's a picture of them and their partner getting married at the weekend. 800,000 bits of engagement. And they're like, "What are you apologizing for? This is a beautiful thing." So I always say, more of this, please. This is wonderful. Apologies in advance. This is not a work-related post, but it's the most engaged bit of content I've ever put out in my life, right? But we used to take a lot of flack back in the day for people saying LinkedIn's turning into Facebook. This is appalling. You had people that just went around putting the word Facebook on posts. Facebook, this is not fit for here, sharing your life. And we all loved sharing a bit of our life and still do, right? Something has happened recently because there's this massive realization that digital is picking up and digital is important. I think Gartner are saying by the end of 2026, 85% of all buyers to seller interactions will occur in the digital channel. So everyone said, just fire content out there. What kind of content? Just stuff. So what was Facebook? You and I on holiday with our families. Me on a mountain bike. You out at Canada Day doing your thing. You out in the forest with your son. Doing your thing. Facebook was always that. So in a way, I do believe, although I resisted against it because it was having a go at the personality edge of networking, LinkedIn, I do believe, is turning into Facebook because of the amount of companies that just post them doing something. We're at a thing, we're at a show, we're at a what. And my feed is absolutely you and your wallet. Andrew's very good. He's very good. We're now swamped by, it's very easy for marketing teams to just take photographs of the team and go, hey, we're having a good gear day at work. We're doing this, which is all part of it, I guess. But if there's no value and substance there, there's nothing we can sink our teeth into.
Right.
It's much easier to do that. It's much more difficult to sit and rack your brains and do the homework to find out what your customers really, really want to hear, what your sector really, really wants to hear. This book has kind of changed my life. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. 600 BC, one of the great 5 Roman emperors and one of the sort of founders of the Stoic philosophy, which I'm just kind of getting into. But there's a line in here, the post-it has fallen off. There's a line in here that just stumped me in my tracks. 600 years BC, this was written, Tracy. Impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way is the way. Impediment to action advances the action. Now, this guy used to run legions of armies and stuff, right? Impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way is the way. The difficult thing is the way. Go after it. So if the difficult thing is becoming the most absolutely effective, motivated, educated, informed marketing team that knows exactly what the client base needs, fears, desires, hopes for, that is the difficult way. Run towards it. So many are bunkering down, just going, "Hey, we you know, we're at a show. Come and see us if you want to talk to us." No, sorry, no, I'm going to come and get the socks and walk on by.
Right, and forget who you are.
That is
thanks for the socks.
Thanks for the socks. Thanks for the socks. Yeah, no.
And Andrew has got coffee and jelly bean handmade soap.
Coffee and jelly bean handmade soap, fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm buying mine from a company called Dr. Squatch. Dr. Squatch, who've got some of the best logos and branding you've ever seen out there. It's absolutely incredible. Soap made for men who want to feel like men. That actually, when you like, for years I've been rubbing shower gel in my arm and armpit, and it just sort of like, it's like yellow lemon jelly, and I don't think it actually, this stuff, you're like the abominable snowman in 2 minutes, just covered in like proper old school lather. So yeah, old soap, old school soap.
Old school soap for the win. Okay, but let's like quickly wrap up with this like concept of the soap, right? Because when we're talking about digital conversations that matter, and we've talked about personal stuff, and we've talked about sharing digital brochures and about your trade shows and what everybody else is doing. I've had this theory for quite some time in terms of like the more dimensions you can show, regardless of how deep those dimensions go, the higher trust factor you have, because people see you like a person, that like you now are Eric. You're not just like the guy who's selling soap. You're Eric, and he gets all sudsy like on a bottle of soap. But like the point is, these are things that are memorable. And very rarely is something that is purely business focused memorable. So as we kind of like wrap up this conversation here, and we've talked about a lot of great things today. When we're looking at Durell is sold on old school soap.
Wow.
So we do things here on the Crazy Stupid Marketing Show. If that soap company would like to advertise, maybe they should connect with me, because apparently we got a whole bunch of people here who want old school man soap.
Live stream has been brought to you by Dr. Squatch Soap for Men and
Ladies. I mean, okay, back to the question I was going to ask before we run out of time. Like, if we're talking about like rolling all of this up to like as a single individual, if I want to make my digital conversations matter more, what is the one thing I could do that could help me do that?
I think one of the things that you could do is number one. So three quick things. Number one, absolutely understand who you're talking to. Absolutely understand what their pains are, what their
Sasquatch men soap people. Okay, check.
Dr. Squatch. Sorry to correct you, Dr. Squatch, not Sasquatch.
Canadian, so everything just like comes around to Sasquatch. But
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Start from a position where you understand the kind of people that you're appealing to. Create content that appeals to them in a way that you're putting that over in a story that means something. Rather than just a promotional thing. I know a lot about a thing that you know, and you should hire me. Start to create the structure of stories that will have impact around those. My content's changed a lot in the last couple of years. I would rather tell stories that mean something to people, and hopefully they stick a little bit, which is embroiled, hopefully, in it elegantly into let's compare that to modern life. Let's compare that to what we all see now. I much prefer to hear content like that. So I make the kind of content that I would like to hear. Be very natural in the way that you do it, and help people more. There's a big thing, particularly in this digital B2B world. If it seems as if it's all take, here's a thing, buy a thing, do a thing, check our brand, check our thing, fill in my poll, visit my website, join my thing, follow me, like, and it's all these instructions. I've found over the years, the more that you can give without the expectation of anything in return, because that will come naturally. People will walk towards you. It's a beautiful thing. If you genuinely mean it, which many of us do, that I'm here to help you and I want to see you get better, and I genuinely want to help you in your position. And if you can get that across in your content, everything will get better and rosy for you.
Oh, totally agree. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine last week who was saying this person had recommended a new coach for her, and before this person would even have a discovery call with her, he made her sign an NDA.
Whoa.
And I was like,
Nope.
I have my own interpretations of that, which I shared with her, and I will keep to myself for now. But if you're curious, you can follow up with me one-on-one. But I was like, how does anybody ever know what you can do then? And if what you can do is good, now you've locked all the people who know about what you can do behind an NDA, so they can't tell anybody that you do good stuff. That seems confusing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the flip side, like my dad, many times, he's been a consultant for years, and he's like, you give away too much stuff for free. And I was like, honestly, if somebody could take their entire marketing department and turn it around because Tracy and Eric had this conversation for an hour on LinkedIn Live, I think that's great.
Yeah.
And what are people going to think about us? That we're great, and you should follow us because we have really good advice.
Yeah.
And if they can't do it themselves, who do you think they're going to ask?
If I, it'll maybe happen once a year, once every couple of years, where someone drops me a note to go, listen, I've never reacted to your content. I've never engaged with it, but I've followed a lot of your advice and things have got better for me. That's cool. That's what we're here for. That's what it is. When I engage properly with a client, I'll get all the commercial loveliness that comes with that. But if some person was sitting there and got a bit of advice and they made a little change to what they're doing, or they reached out and asked for a bit of advice, surely that's what this is for. This is to create economic opportunity for everyone and to connect the world's professionals to make them more effective. It's not just a place to come and take from. Right. I don't believe anyway. That's just my humble opinion.
Well, the universe, karma, right? Like, we've all experienced it.
Big time. Absolutely.
So let's not pretend it doesn't exist on social media too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Eric, my friend, for anyone who would like to learn more about you or needs some more of your wonderful golden nuggets, where is the best place for them to find you?
You can get me on LinkedIn. You can get me on TikTok. You can get me on Instagram. But LinkedIn is the place where I hang out most. And I'm Eric Doyle, FISP, which is not as well. It used to be FISM, and everybody thought I was a fellow of the Institute of Magic.
Oh, well, that's kind of fun, though.
Yeah, kind of fun. So you can find me there. I'd love to connect with you and extend the conversation. That's what this is all about.
Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you to Andrew and Coach Pete and Jarrell who joined us in the conversation today. If this is something that you guys are actively exploring in your own experience, or happen to know at least one of those people is in the marketing arena, and this is something you want to develop more, don't let it be the last time you're participating in the conversation. Let it be the first time, the first of many times, because these types of concepts, they evolve and they change, and staying in the conversation with trustworthy peeps is a great place to be. So thank you all for joining us today. Eric, thank you so much again, my friend, for always adding so much value to the show. And until next time, everybody, permission to do you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.